Hello Internet, how's it going? I'm Stravos, it's Stravos11, and today we're going to be taking a look at the next Hearthstone adventure, Blackrock Mountain. Specifically, I'll review and discuss the first 5 cards that were announced at PAX along with the expansion itself. So let's get to it. First off on the chopping block we have a legendary neutral minion, Rend Blackhand. It's a 7 mana cost, 8/4, and it reads Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, destroy a legendary minion. That sounds pretty exciting, but there's a few problems with Rend. First off, the stats. The stats are clearly below average. War Golem has this guy beat. This has 12 total stats. And the other problem is the distribution. 8 attack means you die to Big Game Hunter, while 4 health means you die to, well, a lot of stuff. You die to Pilot Shredder, you die to Soulfire, you die to Flame Strike straight up. This is a problem. On top of that, the effect also has a problem. So first off, it's conditional, means you have to hold a dragon in your hand. Now this card is designed to be a very high impact card. It's designed to be a power play, it's designed to be a very high swing card like BGH, right? The problem is you have to hold it till the right opportunity comes along, till your opponent plays a Tyrion for example, and you also have to hold a dragon till that opportunity comes along if you want the effect to go off. And also considering that most dragons are high mana cost, you have to hold 2 high mana cost valuable creatures in your hand in order to get this work. And even if you do get this to work, there's also a problem. What if the legendary is Sylvanas? You wanna kill that? Maybe give your opponent the Rend? I don't think so. Do you want to kill his needs? Probably not. Dr. Boom? It's still summon the Boombots, it's not that big of a problem. The Boombots will probably kill this thing. Yes, it is possible to get a really big swing. Your opponent plays a Tyrion, you play a Rend, and if they can't kill the Blackhand, game's kind of over. So it's not the worst thing ever, but it's pretty bad. I would give this thing a 3 in constructed. It's pretty hard to justify. What are you gonna take out and put this in? Are you gonna take out Dr. Boom, Ancient of Lore, War? Are you gonna take out even Baron Geddon? Nah, I don't think so. In Arena, I would give this even lower, a 2, because honestly, you might not have a dragon, so On the style point scale, I'll give this card a 8. It's a pretty cool card. I remember it from World of Warcraft. It has a cool art style, has a cool effect. It's pretty cool. Too bad it probably won't see any play. Next up we have Blackwing Technician. It's a neutral minion, 3 mana for a 2/4, and it reads Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, again, gain +1/+1. So the stats are average. 2/4 for 3 is fine. I would say that it's slightly, just very slightly below average. I think a 3/3 is better most of the time. As far as the effect goes, the first thing you think about is obviously Tinkertown Technician when it comes to mechs. Now, Tinkertown Technician is better because it also gives you a spare part, aside from getting +1/+1. But Blackwing Technician's effect, I would say, is a lot easier to pull off. You just need the thing in your hand. You don't need to play a mech on the board, then play the Tinkertown Technician. You need to just happen to have an Azure Drake in your hand, and you play the Blackwing Technician on 3, hopefully, and you get a 3/5 for 3 mana. A 3/5 for 3 mana is really good. It's really good. You could say that comparing it to Spider Tank, it's just 1 more health. It shouldn't be that relevant, but I would say that it is. Going from 4 health to 5 health is a big deal in the early turns, and this will kill 2 drops and 3 drops like nobody's business. So how good is it actually? Well, it really completely depends on if the dragon deck is good. Tinkertown Technician is very good because Mech Mage is good, other than that, not much to it. So it really depends on that. I will give it a cautious 7 in constructed. I think that in some situations this card will be pretty amazing, but in others, especially if you don't get the dragon or you don't get this on turn 3, if you top deck this card, it's pretty bad. It doesn't really do anything, and it's probably just gonna be a 2/4. So, but it is still a good card. I would say that it's one of the better 3-drops, obviously, in a drag deck. As far as arena goes, I will give this card a 3. I would say that it's significantly harder to make this any good. I think it's clearly worse than a Harvest Golem in arena, because it's really hard to get all the dragons that you want, and you have to draw it, and then you have to draw the dragon, and that's really hard to do in arena a lot of the time. If you get it to hit on 3, it's fucking incredible in arena, yes, but I think if you have a Harvest Golem and this card, unless you already have 3-4 dragons in your deck, I would pick the Harvest Golem. As far as style points, meh, it's not that impressive really. She looks okay, I guess. Yeah, I'll give it a 5. Just a pretty average, mediocre, meh, doesn't really impress me. Next up we have Hungry Dragon. This card is interesting. It's a dragon, it's a 4 mana cost minion, neutral, 5/6 stats. And it reads, summon a random 1 cost minion for your opponent. Okay, obviously the stats are quite good. The 5/6 for 4 is clearly above average, like 3 stats above average from my calculations personally. It's the same as Pitlord. Now, is it worth it though? Is it worth giving a 1 cost minion for your opponent? You might think to yourself, well, you're just gonna give it a Murloc Raider, or you're gonna give it an Undertaker. Lol, Undertaker, who cares, right? Well, you might also give it a Dust Devil. No, that's not a new card. It's been here all along. The problem is that it's unplayable. Now, if your opponent gets it for free with no overload, then it suddenly becomes a lot more playable, doesn't it? There's also Zombie Chow, and there's also Flame Imp. Is it worth it though? Well, Pitlord is not worth it. Nobody's playing Pitlord. I think I've never seen Pitlord played and constructed, like, ever. I don't know, you could say that Pitlord might be worth playing, but it doesn't seem like having a 4-drop with just good stats and constructed, but a downside is worth it, because there's 4 drops with okay stats and a really good effect, right? Like Violet Teacher or even Mechanical Yeti, stuff like that. I really don't know. It's pretty good. It's actually very good. I imagine when you're ahead, you're gonna play this and then just trade for the 1-drop. You're gonna be fine. If you're behind, you're gonna play this and give your opponent a minion that's gonna stick there. Not so much. It's really hard to decide what to give this card actually in constructed. Let's say a cautious 6. It might be really good, it also can be really bad. I don't know. I would say that if the dragon deck is good and you're gonna want a lot of solid dragons, this card is probably going to be played. If not, or if there are just better options out there, then this card is never going to see any play in constructed. But I don't know which one it'll be. In arena, I'll give this card slightly more because stats are very important in arena. I'll give this a 7. Because, especially in priest where you can heal it, if you're even slightly ahead and you can play this and you can just trade for the 1-drop, then you're gonna be way more ahead, right? Even if you're behind, playing a big minion like this and playing another 4-drop on turn 8, sorry, is enough, I think, to justify the 1-cost minion for your opponent, as long as the 1-cost minion is not really good, you know. Right, as far as style points go, I give this a 3. It's maybe even a 2. Yeah, I'm not impressed by random minions for your opponent or for you. I don't like the shredders. It's just too damn random. You can't play around them. You just kind of have to hope for the best, and it's a roll of the dice, and it limits future cards. Every one drop you make, you have to do it with this card in mind, right from now on. I do not like it, and the stats themselves are just boring. I don't know. But there's also one other thing I would like to say. Giving your opponent a minion is not always a bad thing. There's Unleash the Hounds for one, there's a few other cards, but mainly there's this little card called MC Tech. And playing MC Tech in your deck with this, especially in Arena, can be quite the thing. Next up we have Grim Patron. It's a 5 mana neutral minion. It's a 3/3, and it reads, whenever this minion survives damage, summon another Grim Patron. Interesting. First off, obviously, the stats are quite terrible. 3/3 for 5 is really bad. The only other card that has this is Bomb Lobber, right? Bomb Lobber is quite good because it has an immediate effect, or at least quite good in Arena because it has an immediate effect and kills something, like it's a swing card. It's almost like a Black Knight, right? Black Knight is worth it because you can get a lot of shit done with that card. So is this effect worth it? Whenever this minion survives damage, summon another one. Which that one, when it survives damage, can summon another one, and okay, I get it. I get the idea behind this card. But no. I don't think so. I think this effect is far too situational, and even if it hits, it's easy to deal with. Now, I know what you're gonna say, right? You play Grim Patron, it's turn 8. You play Grim Patron, and you play Bouncing Blade, and it hits the first Grim Patron once, and it hits the second Grim Patron once, and the third Grim Patron once, and you have 7 of them on the board, and it's, oh my god, I'm so cool, I win at life and everything. And then your opponent consecrates and wipes your board for half your mana cost, and 1 card instead of 2 cards. Or maybe you're thinking, I can put a Grim Patron on the board, then first trade with it, then use a Whirlwind with an Armor Smith, or you see where I'm going with here. No, I don't think so. I think even if you get this to hit, it won't really be that impressive. Or maybe you're thinking of buffing it? Well, if this survives when you play it, you're... I mean, what can you do here? Maybe you can play it on turn 5, then you Felons it, I guess, or you Blessing of Kings it. That sounds okay, but why not just play a Sludge Belcher, honestly? Or an Azure Drake. There's gonna be a dragon deck coming up, right? Are you really going to play this card? This seems only playable in Warrior, and even then it seems way too combo-y. And just... it's too bad. But no, I would rate this card as a 2 in Constructed. It's just... yeah. And I would rate it a 1 in Arena. Straight up 1. It's one of the worst minions you could possibly get in Arena. It's almost unplayable. Right, as far as style points go though, I love this card. I remember that place when I used to play WoW Vanilla. Oh my god, it's one of my favorite places. It looks cool, it has an awesome event, it has an awesome effect, and it fits really well with those bar fights. Oh my god, I love this. I love this. 10. I like that this card exists. I don't think it'll get played. Okay, last off we have Dark Iron Skulker. It's a rogue 5 mana minion. It has 4/3 stats. Battle Cry, deal 2 damage to all undamaged enemy minions. Interesting. So obviously the stats are pretty poor, very poor in fact. It loses 3 average stats from a 5-drop. It's not that good. Is the effect worth it though? At first glance, you would say that the effect is amazing. 2 damage to all enemy minions? Holy crap, that's a Consecrate. That's a Consecrate and a 4/3 for 5 mana. Crazy, right? Well, not quite. There's a few problems with that. You might think to yourself, Stormpike Commando is a card, and well, nobody really plays Stormpike Commando, but comparing it to that, this card is amazing. And Stormpike Commando was at some points playable, and it still is playable in Arena, though not that great. It's okay. It's okay. Now, yes, I would say that that this card is better than Stormpike Commando, but it's not as good as it first seems. At least to me, it seemed very good at first. But the more I think about this, what role does this card fill in Rogue specifically? In other cards, it would fit better, I would imagine, but in Rogue, think about it. Like, you want tempo in Rogue, you want low-cost stuff, and you want some solid good minions that help you. Like, keep in mind that this is, besides undamaged enemy minions, besides costing 5 mana, which feels very clunky, at least in current Rogue decks, it also is not affected by spell power, right? So, and Azure Drakes were already played in Rogue, and I think with upcoming Dragon cards they might be played way more, but they don't affect this card. And this card, what does it really kill, right? Does it kill anything in a control deck? Not really. This doesn't do anything to Ysera or Sylvanas. It just feels a little bit clunky. As far as a aggro oriented card, as in against aggro, it doesn't seem that good either. I mean, think about this. Scarlet Purifier, which was a card designed to counteract Zooey Undertaker decks, right, was not getting played versus Zooey Undertaker decks. It just wasn't worth it, and it killed almost all those things. Now you could say this kills all those things and other things, but it costs way more. It's gonna be way harder to do this. So I'm not sure. After thinking about it some more, I would give this card a 6. Based off of just what I said, it seems like a maybe even lower than that, maybe even a 5, just kind of mediocre, just won't see much play. I think in current decks this card doesn't really belong, but, and here's where I'll make a little bit of a stand. I think there is a completely different rogue archetype and different decks that people haven't really tried out yet that can be very, very good, and I think this card, Gallywix, some other cards, maybe even Ogre Ninja, stuff like that, I think you can make a good deck with those cards. This is my prediction, that at some point in the future there's gonna be a pretty cool rogue that almost nobody thinks about right now, and that's why I'm gonna give this card a 7. It might still be very good as is. It kills all Shaman Totems, it kills like Muster for Battle dudes, it kills stuff, it kills like Fairy Dragon, which might have a big comeback right now, or BGH. It does kill some things, some pretty key minions, right? So it might be good too, but it's hard to see a place for it right now. It's hard to see something you take out from your deck from the 5 slot or similar to this. So it's a 7 in constructed. In Arena, I would argue that this card is an 8. I think something that plays a minion and does damage to anything is very, very good in Arena, especially if you can. And in Arena, sometimes your opponent do just have a bunch of 2 health minions and it's really good. Or even if you just play it and this enables you to trade to kill an ogre from 7 to 4 health to 5 health, something like that, it's probably significantly better. As far as style points go, this card gets an 8. I think it looks really cool, I think the effect is pretty cool, and I think I cannot wait from the animation. I want to see the animation for this card. I'm so curious to see how it will look like. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. These have been my thoughts on the first few Blackrock Mountain cards. Hope you enjoyed them. If you want to check me out in the future, I'm gonna do more of these videos, and hopefully gonna do a lot more videos in the future, and hopefully I'm right about these things. Can't wait for Blackrock Mountain. See you next time.